This week in PlayStation, we're talking about, is the Helldivers 2 story moving too quickly? Are we going back to Fallout 4 on PlayStation 5? And what does the success of Fallout on Amazon mean for PlayStation productions? We'll have all this and more because this is PS I Love You XOXO. Welcome to PS I Love You XOXO, your weekly PlayStation conversation. I've never nailed it. Since we added in the weekly PlayStation conversation, I've nailed it on the way out. I've never nailed it in the introduction.
I feel that. I mean, right before this, I fucked up. Yo, what's up? Welcome to Greg Way.
What'd you say?
Oh, I just put all the words together. Was, yo, what's up? Welcome to Greg Way.
That happens. Right. That's gonna happen. That's Blessing. I'm Greg, and if you love what we do, please support us with the Kinda Funny membership on YouTube or Patreon. Of course, with the Kinda Funny membership, you get each and every episode of PS I Love You XOXO ad-free. You get all the other shows ad-free. You could watch us record PS I Love You XOXO and all the afternoons podcasts live as we record them, just like Louise's Piano Fish Tank is, Ryan Povala Higgins are. If you're watching live, make sure you're signing off in the comments there to be part of the show. If you're not watching live, maybe you're watching later on YouTube podcast services around the globe. Thank you for your support. Please like, subscribe, share, and of course, consider coming over and getting that Kinda Funny membership, even if it was just for 1 month, to get the cool perks and keep the lights and mics on for our 11-person small business here in San Francisco, California. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Kieran Hovasapian, and Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Factor, Dragon's Dogma 2, and Robinhood. But let's start with a PSN message from Yo! Now, you mentioned you did Greg Way. How'd that feel? Of course, that's your multimedia experience you get with the Kinda Funny membership each and every day. Usually a vlog from me, but I want to open it up to people.
It was very fun. It was me and Roger. I meant to do 15 minutes. It ended up about, I think, around 30 minutes. But it was us talking about all of what's going on in the rap game right now, because the rap game is in shambles. J. Cole.
I don't know anything about it, but I have seen people upset about it. And someone I want to say wrote into PS I Love You, and one of their I didn't make the document, but it was like, this is me going off of memory of something I think I read. I wish Blessing would talk about J. Cole leaving the Trinity, leaving the
big three. The
big three.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's tough. J. Cole was always like my guy. Like, I'm a fan of all three of them, right? But like J. Cole.
Is this all covered in the Greg Way?
It's all covered in the Greg Way.
Okay.
It's Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Drake. They're considered the big three in the rap game. I'm a fan of all three of them, but like J. Cole always had like this special place in my heart, because he was the soulful one. He was the relatable one, right? Like, he made music that I really fucked with, right? Like Drake, pop culture sensation. He's the most popular out of all of them. Kendrick Lamar is like the most, like, maybe most artful out of all of them, right? But like J. Cole had some soul to him that I really fucked with. And then this last week, is
J. Cole the one who apologized for the distance?
Yeah, he made a diss track and he apologized. We just can't stand by that.
No, you can't. You gotta
like,
back it up.
When you decide in the rap game to be a good person, that's where we have to cut you off.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
You can't be reflective.
And then I think I did pretty well. If we're gonna give me a gold star for remembering this comment that didn't make any sense to me, but I remembered the Trinity / the three power, whatever the fuck it is.
Three, yeah.
This one's a bit more of a stretch. Did something happen with Drake and a boner recently or something? Because I saw somebody.
His dick leaked.
Because what I saw was a TikTok or something that was like a stick underneath a tarp, and somebody made some Drake comment. I was like, I don't understand.
That lines up. I mean, what do you want me to describe the video to you?
This is PS I Love You. We talk about it in PlayStation.
To be fair, it's not like I sought it out. It's just
let's put the P in PS I Love You, and you tell me what's going on with this piece.
I saw Drake trending on Twitter one day, and I clicked it, and I saw a video, and I was like, wish I didn't see that video. It was just him in a hotel, I think. And it was in some bed. Fucking, let me tell you.
He was just making a nudie for somebody, or was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Making a video.
Oh, okay.
The things happening in that video.
Sure.
Let me tell you.
Was he alone in the video?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he filming himself?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want context for what's happening here. Okay.
Yeah. Because like a thing he does in that video that had me like, whoa.
I like that you make it sound like you clicked on the trending thing and then like, saw an image.
No,
but you clicked the video, you made a sandwich. You're like, what is Drake?
Like, the video started, I was like, oh, what's this? And like, there's only 7 seconds left, so I might as well see it through. I've already seen the first 4 seconds. What am I gonna do? Stop watching.
It's like when you're like,
I'm gonna click away.
You're halfway through a bad game. You're like, well, I might as well finish it.
And part of me is like, my brain is also processing. Is that Drake? It looks like Drake in that video. That's crazy. Anyway, he's part of the big three.
Okay.
He puts the big in big three.
Was this related to the J. Cole diss track?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why that came up in the thing. That has nothing to do with the J. Cole diss track. J. Cole's dissing Kendrick specifically. He wasn't talking about Drake.
Got it. All right, fair enough. Let's get to Kozibear, who wrote in to kindafunny.com/PSILY, just like you can, to be part of the show, and says, while I'm incredibly impressed with what Helldivers has been able to accomplish in its first few months on the market, I can't help but feel like the game's plot and developments are moving at too rapid a pace. What with, parenthesis, at the time of the writing of this question, the automatons supposedly defeated, and the game's next major threat already looming on the horizon. Do you feel like Helldivers could benefit from spacing out its major developments and updates more, or do you think that at this pace, or do you think that the pace at which it's running is fine as is? Blessing?
Uh-huh.
We've covered on multiple shows. You're not a Helldivers guy yet.
No.
Maybe one day, probably not, but whatever. You're, of course, the Kind of Funny Games Daily guy. So you're seeing this stuff. You're seeing things drop. They got a new war bond out already. Like, there's a million things happening in Helldivers all the time. Do you look at that and go, thank God I'm not a part of that? Or do you say, oh, that's an interesting way to do this?
I look at it and I go, that's an interesting way to do this. I think the fact that it's been constantly in the news cycle for the last couple of months, I think it's done more good than it's done harm for Helldivers. And as long as like they can keep up with the pace of that from the development side and from the storytelling side of Helldivers too, then I think why not, right? Like I think that is the kind of game that you want people to come back to. You want people to be invested in the war bonds. You want people to be invested in pushing forward the story. And I think the fact that they're able to be so active with it and have the story continue to be ongoing day after day or week after week or however long they want to whatever pace they want to update it at. I think it's a good thing. It's hard for me to tell from the outside looking in if it's overwhelming to the player or if it feels like it is, like I wanted to spend more time in like this stage of the story of Helldivers 2. Like, I don't know if the people are experiencing that and you can tell me better, but like from the outside looking in, I look at it and I'm like, it feels like the Squidward meme of him looking out his window and saying SpongeBob and Patrick having fun.
Yeah.
Where that's me with Helldivers 2, where I'm like, seems like a blast over there. Like, I wish that was me.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is to answer the question from Cozy, no, I don't think it's moving too fast. I think this will sound like a negative, but it's actually a positive. I think that the Helldivers story, in quotes, is so disposable that I've talked about this in many shows, right? Of playing Helldivers, loving it, moving on to different reviews, being able to come back for a couple days, moving on to different reviews. When I see the headlines go through of the automatons getting pushed back, then everybody gets a free cape because they did it, and then oh no, just kidding, they've come back and they're attacking again. It's like this is all just window dressing to get you to go play the game and do the same missions and fight the same enemies, right? And they're putting in new enemies here and there. Don't get me wrong, but like, the story of Helldivers is just churning. It's just going. It's just giving you a reason to go in there and fight, go to a specific planet, be in Malevolent Creek or whatever. Like, it's not actually like
it's not lore that
you're missing anything. Like, there's going to be the jokes of you were there, or we lost this, or we won that. And like, there's a part of that, but I don't see it as like, oh man, I can't believe that. And like, no. And I think the fact that it's getting headlines, the fact that it's getting the community involved, the fact that I look at the stuff happening in these battles and what's going on, and chuckle to myself and see the reactions and okay, cool. And again, the fact that just 9 hours ago? 9 hours today. 3 a.m. Wesley and Poole at IGN put up the article. Helldivers 2 stealth drops new ship upgrades, and some of them sound amazing, right? Meanwhile, in another one over here, they just dropped the new war bond, like I was talking about, right? Over there, Hiram Cryer at Games Radar says Helldivers 2 latest war bond has a rifle that's so unbelievably bad, it almost feels like the automatons are just telling us to use it so we lose ground, which totally could be the meta of the game, right? But all these little things are adding up to people caring about this game in a different way. No, I don't think it's going too fast. I don't think people on the outside looking in are, or even lapsed players like me, and I use that loosely, I'm still very much in it, I just haven't had time to play, right? I don't look at all this and go, man, it's not Destiny. Yeah. Man, the narrative's moved so far that if I tried to get in, I wouldn't even know what the meta is anymore, right? No, I'm going to get in, I'm going to shoot bugs, I'm going to come with my stratagems. There's new stuff to get, there's a million new levels to get, that's great, whatever. I'm not repelled by it. I think if anything, this is all enticing because you know what it is you just need to get in and go kill things.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a game that you would have fear of missing out with.
Yeah.
Whereas Destiny 2, if you missed an expansion as a Destiny fan, then it is, oh man, like I gotta get back, like I gotta go experience it at some point because like I want to catch up with the story because I'm invested.
And even as these war bonds continue to come, right? When we were doing the streams with Jack when he was here a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I bought the latest war bond and I bought it late, right? And then now today there's a new one out, right? And like I'm not gonna rush to buy that. I'll buy it when I do. And even getting those brand new war bonds, I don't feel like, oh man, I'm so far behind. I feel like now I have choice. Like, oh, well, I was just working on this one to get to this thing. I don't know if I really cared about it. But what about this? And what about that? Where do I want to start putting my medals to really unlock the thing that I want to play with? I think you're great. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Zach Hobbs in the live chat says, I don't think Arrowhead expected Helldivers 2 to have the amount of players it has, and the players are liberating planets quicker than anticipated. That I disagree with, Zach, right? Because they are in there every day, right? We've talked so much about the one game master who's running it all. They can change all that whenever they want to make it harder, make it easier. I think right now they've found a good clip where I think, what was it, that first weekend where Malevolent Creek was just kicking the shit out of everybody. There was no way we were never going to actually get that done. And maybe, again, that was on purpose, so we would all rally behind that, and you'd have all the propaganda posters the fans have made that is, remember Malevolent Creek, where were you, yada, yada, yada. I think that's a big part of it, whereas right now I think they're doing what they want to do with it.
Yeah, for me, it brings me back to, like, producing Game Showdown. And, like, I have a vision as I'm putting together my questions or putting together the games or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, I never know what you, Tim or Andy, are gonna like, where you're gonna take something, or if you're going to ask for a hint, or if you're gonna like, you know, like answer something that's kind of the right answer but not the right answer. I feel like for them as Arrowhead, you kind of just gotta move with it. Like it is almost like a D&D game master, right? Where it is, all right, I'm telling the story, I gotta make sure that no matter what, we can still be within the confines of this thing that I set up. So if we have too many people, or if people are liberating something too fast, or if people aren't liberating something fast enough, all right, what's the twist that I'm adding in there to like make this make sense and make the story move on in a way that is believable to the players?
Our Torotron robot bartender says, Robo bartender, says the idea is so brilliant. Taking the GM from a tabletop RPG and adding that element to a live service game, it's genius. Again, it's one of the reasons I think Helldivers is succeeding and continuing to succeed, right? This was the big question at review when we were all like, man, this is awesome and so much fun. What does it look like 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now, a year from now?
Do you think them not talking as much about that in the marketing up to the game worked to their benefit? Or do you think that's something that they should have brought up more? Do you think that would have been more interesting to the players?
Game master thing?
Yeah.
I think it worked to their benefit, right? Like, I think, again, Helldivers is such an interesting success this year where it would be that, like, I think you could have talked everyone's ear off about it. Nobody would have cared until you were in it. You know what I mean? Helldivers, you know, what our preview embargo, we played it like a month before it came out. Then I want to say our preview lifted like 2 or 3 weeks before it came out. And then it was out with no reviews, right? Like they played it to a T of like, we have something here. It's really great. It's, we think, special. Let's just get it out there so people get lost in it and they start doing the thing of, wait, is this propaganda? Wait, there's references to this thing that haven't dropped. And then stuff like we've seen with the mechs suddenly being there in some games. Like, they're great. Helldivers is such a, and I hate saying it because it sounds so hokey, but like such a viral game where these moments and these things and these, did you see this? What about that? Why are the lasers blue or whatever all of a sudden? Like, it's caught on in a way that I think the excitement of logging on and trying to find something different is part of it.
It makes me wonder about the live service and games as a service stuff in general in terms of the lead up to them and getting people hyped for them. Because Helldivers 2 was one that the only thing that had me hyped about Helldivers 2 was knowing how much that you would talk about Helldivers 1 and how much you loved Helldivers 1. So based off of that, I was like, okay, well, I think Helldivers 2 is at the very least going to be a good game. But there was nothing telling me that it was going to become this. I look forward to things like Concord or Fair Games, and I'm like, okay, well, right now they're not telling me what is like what are the key things, what are the things that I need to get me hyped for this thing. And it makes me wonder, like, is the strategy here maybe once people get their hands on it, they're going to decide for themselves that, okay, this special thing about it that maybe they've not been talking about in the marketing is actually hooking us, and people spread it through word of mouth. Because like I think the fact that Helldivers 2 is able to show and not tell with that stuff, it's cool, it's dope, and it's successful for it. But also, I don't know if risk is the right way to put it, because I don't know if like selling it in the trailers is like, or telling you in the trailers that this is going to happen is going to be the thing either. But the fact that they're able to have this be a driving force, right? This game master idea, and like have that be a thing that really is pulling people in, makes me wonder about the elements in some of these future PlayStation games service that may or may not hopefully do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, it's not even so much. I guess it is. I don't know. Helldivers is a known quantity, right? And to a degree. Like, obviously, Helldivers 2 is way better than Helldivers 1 because of everything we're talking about here and what they're doing and how they're changing the way they've broken through. To look at something like Fair Games, right, where it looks like, okay, it's a heist game. Like, are you doing something interesting? I don't have the same trust in Haven that I have in Arrowhead. Arrowhead, I was like, for Helldivers 2, I expected to be a solid game. I didn't expect it to catch on like this and catch fire. And like Haven, obviously Jade Raymond, I'm sure she's assembled a great team over there. But again, your first outing and you're taking on this thing, and there are a lot of eyes on you, and PlayStation's making a big deal about it so far. I think where we got nothing about Helldivers 2 really in the lead up to it, I bet we're gonna get a lot of Fair Games. I bet we're gonna get a lot of like, here's a state of play, here are these rundown videos. And I guess even to that point, Helldivers did put up, or Arrowhead did put up videos, but I don't know. I think we're gonna know a lot about Fair Games before we get there.
Gotcha.
I digress. Let's get to topic of the show. Blessing.
Greg.
We now live in a post Fallout Amazon Prime world. Right now on Rotten Tomatoes, Fallout, the TV show, has a 92. We reviewed it on the Gamescast. You came in trying to poo-poo it, but then you watched 4 episodes. You're like, wait a second, you marathoned the entire thing and you loved it.
Yes.
I want to start we're going to talk about if PlayStation Studios can rival Fallout with some of their upcoming productions. But I do want to talk about the productions that have come before it and include that all in the conversation. And so my question for you would be, is Fallout the best video game adaptation of all time?
No.
Okay. What is?
I don't know.
Because I think a lot of people are going to jump to Last of Us.
My thing is, I think Fallout and Last of Us are in the same conversation for me. I think I enjoy Fallout more than Last of Us.
Yeah.
Even though I think Last of Us is probably the better show. And when we get to award season, I guess they probably wouldn't be included in the same award season because they came out over a year apart. But like,
generally how it works.
If they were in the same award season, I think I'd probably expect Last of Us to win more awards than a Fallout. But Fallout as a TV show, I think is just more enjoyable. And I think part of that maybe just because it's a different story than when we get in the games.
You knew where Last of Us was going from the start.
Like Last of Us almost just felt like I was replaying the game again. And they had some new stuff in there, like Bill and I keep wanting to say Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, Bill and Frank.
Bill and Frank episode is like, fantastic. And I don't think Fallout has anything that is as good as that one episode, right? But like Fallout, I think, is so fun as its own thing. And like it has a tone that feels more fresh, and it has, comedy, it has all this stuff that just appeals way more to me, that like I put it above Last of Us in a personal regard. But if I'm saying best ever, like I'm looking at the Pokemon anime.
We're a PlayStation podcast. Fuck that shit.
All right, that's fair. Then Fallout.
Yeah.
Or Last of Us. I don't know. But like,
here's my take on it, though, is that I think what's interesting is, and this is not throwing shade at Last of Us, because how much I love Last of Us, the show, the game, the IP, right? Is that I think in a lot of ways, right, when we played Last of Us Part 1 originally, and even Part 2 to a degree, but it was the idea of like, oh man, like this is more than your average game. This is, in a lot of ways, it felt like this feels like I'm playing a movie. This feels like I'm playing a show. And so then I think for The Last of Us to become a show felt natural, and then there weren't big sweeping changes, right? Because the game already kind of was, the cinematics and how it was, and yada, yada, yada.
I think that's my thing is, you say it feels natural, which I agree, but I also think it felt unneeded for me. Where if The Last of Us TV show never existed, outside of the Bill and Frank episode, I'm like...
Bill and Ted.
The Bill and Ted episode. Outside of that episode, I look back at The Last of Us show and I'm like, cool, that was just the game. Like, if they never made this, I don't think anything would change for me.
And so I think what's interesting is I think The Last of Us show was an adaptation of a game that in many ways was adapting the themes and camera angles and writing quality and everything else of a show.
Yeah.
So what I think is, if I was right now casting my ballot, I would say Fallout's the best video game adaptation of all time, because it is in the game world. It's not trying to retell the game story. It is hey, all the shit you've played in Fallouts before is happening over on that coast or in, Vegas or whatever. But we're over here in California, and this is what's happening here. And like I've talked at length about on our shows this week, right? The Stimpack noise, the Nuka-Cola, the Cogsworth kind of robot. Like, they clearly sat down. The Pip-Boy screams. Even when it's just an idle by a fire or they're having a conversation and you glance at their Pip-Boy and it is the Fallout guy with the 93% health, limb health. It's like, God damn, that is just the menu from the game. Like, you literally they sat down with the Bethesda to make this and we're like, this is what this looks like in our universe. You have to make it look like that. It has to sound like that. It has to be our universe. Like, that's fucking so crazy.
Yeah, I'm definitely not mad at anybody that says Fallout is the best video game adaptation to them. I still do think that like we've gotten so much quality in the last decade, especially like in the last few years. We've gotten Arcane, and I know plenty of people that would say Arcane is the best one. We've gotten Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I know plenty of people that would say Cyberpunk Edge Runners is the best one. We've gotten The Witcher 3. We've gotten Castlevania. There is the Detective Pikachu movie, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
But I think Fallout is of that ilk. I think Fallout is one of those ones where it's exactly what you're talking about. I think they take all of the best, or they take all the right things about Fallout and contextualize them in the show in a way that it just feels right. Right? Like, as I'm watching the show, I believe it takes place in the Fallout universe.
100%.
The set design is perfect. The costume design is perfect. The ghouls, or the ghoul, I guess, it looks perfect, right? Like the character, like all the stuff fits and aesthetically absolutely nails what it's going for in that world. And then the story that it's telling feels like a Fallout main quest with side quests integrated in there as well. I would say it is up there as one of my favorite video game adaptations for sure. And I think when you're talking about the last, let's say 5 years, I put it in my top 3. Well, like I think it's up for me. It's up there with Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, and then I guess for me personally, I would put Last of Us in there for talking about for the last few years.
I mean, I love Last of Us. Yeah, I'm not trying to take away from it. Yeah, I just think it's so impressive what they've done of taking a video game, making a show, but making the show still feel like a video game.
Yeah.
I'm not playing it, but it is the same thing of like, oh, now this new side quest is coming in and they're going to set off on that. Okay, they need caps, they're doing this. Okay, the Pip-Boy, the whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just impressive how they've done all this.
Yeah. I think it's all like, for one more thing on this too, is the reason I give it a 4 out of 5 as opposed to like a 5 out of 5, even though I'm talking about it being a 10 out of 10 adaptation, is that I look at Cyberpunk and Arcane. And I didn't watch much of the Witcher show, so maybe you can tell me what the Witcher show
was great. But again, that was more of the books adapting.
That's true. That's a really good point, actually. But like Cyberpunk and Arcane, removed from them being video game adaptations, I think those are like fucking phenomenal shows. Like you talk to anybody about Arcane, and they're like, that's just a 10 out of 10 TV show.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk to me is like a 10 out of 10 season of anime, right? Fallout as a TV show, I think is fucking great. But there are plenty of flaws I can look at in that show where I'm like, all right, like, CG isn't what I wanted it to be. Okay, like
a little slow going here. I don't like this character.
There's
which
a character that I really don't like, whatever. But like
Yeah.
as a Fallout thing, I'm like, yo, y'all nailed it as a Fallout. Like I think as an adaptation, absolutely fucking nails it.
Well, I want to talk about what is coming from PlayStation Studios. All right, Blessing. Of course, PlayStation Studios has shown up to say, hey, we're taking all the PlayStation properties. We're throwing them there. Of course, when PlayStation Productions originally popped off to talk about all this stuff, we were all like, well, believe this when we see it. They announced a bunch of stuff. And they've actually been doing it, right? Of course, PlayStation Productions, officially listed on the PlayStation website as this. Learn more about TV, movies, and animation based on incredible characters and worlds from PlayStation Studios' acclaimed games. What is PlayStation Productions? Our mission. PlayStation Production takes the emotive storytelling and immersive gameplay experiences from PlayStation Studios and spins that shared DNA into movies, TV shows, and animations that come to life on the big and small screens. Of course, to date from PlayStation Studios, we have Uncharted the movie, Gran Turismo the movie, Last of Us the TV show, and Twisted Metal the TV show.
One of these things is not like the other. Last of Us feels so prestige compared to the
Uncharted a 40 on Rotten Tomatoes, Gran Turismo a 65 on Rotten Tomatoes, Twisted Metal a 67 on Rotten Tomatoes, The Last of Us a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Such a fascinating. Now that I think about it, I remember talking. I forget if it was if I had joined Kind of Funny, yeah, maybe it was right before. But like when they launched PlayStation Productions and when they started talking about like doing movies and all this stuff, Last of Us and Uncharted makes so much sense. But then like the other two we got so far that have released now are Gran Turismo and Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Like those are the 4 things that we've gotten so far. Like you would have thought that we lead with a God of War or like a Horizon. And they're like, okay, last was Uncharted. Oh yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, we're also gonna have Twisted Metal and Gran Turismo. Good for them.
Well, it's interesting too because Uncharted had been gestating forever, right? Like that was Mark Wahlberg's picture forever and ever and ever, trying to get it off the ground. So even though it's part of this, right, it was like that interesting thing of what PlayStation's Productions was actually working on and doing and stuff. And I think Gran Turismo was such a, when you heard it and just the name was one, like what the fuck, and then when you were watching, you're like, oh, it's the actual story of the guy doing the thing to become a driver. Like that was cool, and I liked that movie. Like I think what's interesting about this is like art, eye of the beholder, whatever, and all that stuff. None of these were like
terrible
swing and miss. Oh my god, I hated what I was doing for 2 hours. Right? Even Twisted Metal, which I didn't finish, the ones I watched or whatever, I was like, oh, this is fun. This is, I wasn't like so locked into Anthony Mackie's character and what Nev Campbell was up to that I needed to see it all the way through. But I enjoyed what I watched of it. Yeah. Uncharted was not Uncharted, but it was still cool to see Tom Holland doing shit.
I wasn't mad that I saw Uncharted.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I need to watch this again anytime soon. But you know,
yeah,
like,
of course. I haven't gone back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the balance that they've hit with PlayStation Productions has been decent to great when we're talking about The Last of Us, right? Like Last of Us was the one where it's okay, you nailed this, you all did a good job, like you partnered with the right people. You had Craig Mazin working with I was gonna say Bruce Straley, with Neil Druckmann.
They went around Neil, got Bruce back for it.
And y'all nailed this. But yeah, with Twisted Metal, Gran Turismo, and Uncharted, I think those did about what I would have expected those to do, which is like, they're fine, they're cool.
Well, I want to talk about looking ahead, but first I want to look ahead to our future. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're seeing here on PS I Love You XOXO, remember we have a plethora of other content, and you can get it all with the Kind of Funny membership. With the Kind of Funny membership, of course, you would get each and every episode of all of our shows ad-free. You can watch us record the afternoon podcast live as we record them, just like Oswaldo is, just like Piano Fish Tank is, just like John Molly is. Of course, you also would get the daily exclusive multimedia experience known as Gregway. Most of the time, it's me in a car for like 20 minutes. Sometimes it's Blessing talking to Roger about rap for 30. Paris Lily wants to do one. I still need to get him booked, but he's in to do one eventually. Of course, that's all available with the Kind of Funny membership. But guess what? You're not using your Kind of Funny membership. So here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Eat stress-free this spring with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. A ton of us here at Kind of Funny have been so thankful for Factor since we've been in the new studio, and you can too. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also, discover more than 60 add-ons every week like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up your springtime goals. Get chef-prepared meals on the table in 2 minutes with Factor's ready-to-eat meals so you can get back to doing what you love this spring. Head to factormeals.com/kindoffunny50 and use code kindoffunny50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That's code kindoffunny50 at factormeals.com/kindoffunny50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. This episode is brought to you by Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2 is the highly anticipated action RPG successor to the cult classic Dragon's Dogma, released in 2012. Dragon's Dogma 2 boasts a richly detailed and deeply explorable fantasy world created using immersive physics, character AI, and the latest in graphics from Capcom's RE engine. This single-player action RPG challenges players to use their creativity and curiosity to shape their own experience. The world of Dragon's Dogma 2 revolves around choice. Both your party of pawns and enemies alike will react dynamically to your actions on the battlefield, whether you cling to the backs of monsters or seek to dispatch them from afar. Whether you like melee combat, shooting bows and spells, scaling enormous monsters, or using your environment to your advantage, Dragon's Dogma 2 has something for you. And the character creator is easy to use with a ton of customizability to get as creative as you want. So go to dragonsdogma.com to buy the game and start your epic quest today. This episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer.
Blessing?
Greg.
There are many things still to come from PlayStation Productions, including Horizon, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone, Gravity Rush.
Wait, really? Days Gone?
Until Dawn. It's listed on the Wikipedia, and I've seen somebody talk about it.
God, I erased that from my brain.
Me too as well. That's how I saw it in the thing. And it's not official because it's not a PlayStation production apparently, but Death Stranding. I put Death Stranding in there with a little wink and a nod to remind you of it, that's coming. Horizon, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone, Gravity Rush, Until Dawn. That's 6 projects, Bless. How much do you believe in them?
As a whole or individually?
As well, I mean, as a whole of what's coming, yeah.
I think that's a decent list. Like, I think the ones that make the most sense here are Horizon, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima. I think once we get to the other half, that is Days Gone, Gravity Rush, and Until Dawn, it's like, okay, you guys are taking some swings. I don't need a Days Gone movie or TV. Do we know which one that is, or if they said if that's a TV show or movie? Either way, I don't need it. I know Days Gone fans are probably all about it, but this comes back to what I talked about with Fallout, where we've gotten so much out of that genre, even from PlayStation Productions already. We've gotten The Last of Us, and this is I think the same issue that we talked about leading into Days Gone in terms of, oh, you guys are making a zombie thing? All right, cool. Like, we have Last of Us. Like, do you really need to? And then Days Gone comes through, and it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I guess y'all made a zombie thing, and if you like it, you like it. You know, ride your motorcycle in an open world and run away from freakers. I look at a Days Gone TV show or movie.
It's a movie. We go back to August 2022. Outlander's Sam Hugan circling Sony PlayStation feature Days Gone. In the wake of Sony minting the start of a cinematic franchise and its big screen take on the PlayStation game Uncharted, which made close to $402 million worldwide, we hear the movie division of its video game arm, Sony PlayStation Productions, is developing the feature rendition of Days Gone, with which Outlander's Sam Hugan is circling an Oscar-nominated scribe Sheldon Turner is adapting.
Yeah.
It is worth pointing out that when I had seen that before, it caught me off guard because officially on the PlayStation Productions website I read from earlier, it does not list that. It has the stuff we talked about, and then in their section at the very bottom that says coming soon, it's Horizon, God of War, Ghost.
Gotcha. So yeah, Days Gone doesn't light my world on fire. Until Dawn, I think, is interesting for what we talked about earlier with The Last of Us, where The Last of Us, is taking all these cues from cinema in its presentation, its production.
It had a movie star / TV star cast.
Yeah. Whereas, Until Dawn is doing that, and there are movies I can watch that are already Until Dawn. But I like Until Dawn, right? I think a lot of people love Until Dawn, and so a Until Dawn movie I think could bring people in. If you could bring back that same cast, then I think we're really cooking. But I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Same cast? I guess they're probably way older now.
That game was like 10, 15 years ago.
You're right. Yeah,
10 years ago.
You're right. So they probably aged out of these roles at this point. But you would have to bring a banger cast. It would have to be that same level of, we recognize all these names.
Until Dawn's another one where it's like, it's not that I think you're cheating or whatever, but like, you made a video game that was playing a horror movie, the teen horror movie. So to now make that into take the idea of making a teen horror movie into a video game, into a teen horror, it's like, really, with all due respect, you shouldn't fuck this up at all. Yeah. This should be a fine horror movie because you're just making a horror movie where a bunch of kids go to a cabin and start getting killed one by one. Yeah. Unless you're getting crazy and you're like, you want it to be kind of like Clue. You ever watch the movie Clue?
I never watched the movie.
At the end, they have a bunch of alternate like
I do
endings,
remember,
like the game, right? So if you wanted to do something like a butterfly effect in the corner that has like you got to go see Until Dawn 4 times in theaters to get everything, and it's randomized, that could be cool, but also like way too much work. You're just gonna make a fucking horror movie.
At that point, just play the game.
yeah, exactly, right.
But yeah, like that's an interesting one. And then Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush, I think, is fascinating. I think that's one that when you're talking about the roster you have is PlayStation IP. Gravity Rush is on the lower end, right? Like not as many people have played Gravity Rush. Sure. But again, that's another one where I know the fans that have played and really like Gravity Rush really like Gravity Rush. And so I think if your plan as PlayStation is to maybe bring it back or make a new one, that could be a neat way to do it. Hey, let's put out a movie, and like a year or so after, maybe within the same year, we have a game ready for people to play, and we try to spin Gravity Rush back up. But Gravity Rush doesn't seem like that kind of IP. It doesn't seem like one that
need another Gravity Rush.
It's PlayStation that you're trying to push in that way. So I think that's a very interesting decision. But also, maybe they want to, for variety's sake, we want an animation in there, right? We want to have something that is not just the
Gravity Rush stuff comes from that Las Vegas presentation, right, at CES that also had the Patapon footage in it, where everybody was like, Greg, they're making a Patapon thing. I'm like, I'll believe that when I see it. Mm-hmm. And that is like...
But I think they actually announced that. I remember reading like a Variety article or something about the Gravity Rush.
Yeah. Oh, Gravity Rush. Yeah. Sorry, I think about the Patapon thing. I was linking back to the Patapon thing a bit. Of like, I think they're trying a bunch of shit. And if they were suddenly making a Patapon cartoon or whatever, animated movie, I would not expect the Patapon game because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe we get one eventually because of psychopaths like me, but whatever.
But yeah, I think Gravity Rush is interesting. If I had to guess, the conversation is we want to have variety, we want to have some kind of animated thing. Oh, what works for that? Gravity Rush. I am trying to think of other PlayStation IP that would work in the same way if you want to do animation, and like Little Big Planet would have been maybe the first one that came to mind. I think Little Big Planet cartoon would be could be really fun. I think you could do a lot of stuff with that. Astrobot, I could see maybe not doing that. I don't know what an Astrobot cartoon looks like. I think Astrobot has personality, but as a cartoon, need to be that. I don't know what's the story to Astrobot. And then from there, it's like it's kind of harder to pick out things that could work as a cartoon. Twisted Metal maybe could have been that, but they found Anthony Mackie. So yeah, I think Gravity Rush could work or could make sense if that's the route you're taking as PlayStation. But I think those 3 games I just talked about, I am going in with morbid curiosity rather than hype. But
gotcha.
Horizon, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, I think you could cook with those.
See, what I think is interesting is you're not wrong. I agree with what you're saying. Until Dawn, I'd be excited about it because I just love horror movies, and so like even a schlocky horror movie, whatever, I'll be fine with. Days Gone again is one where it's like Days Gone, the movie could be a lot of fun since the premise of the game I had no problem with, and I love zombies, and
I like the story
of Days Gone.
Yeah,
no, it went on way too fucking long. You know what I mean? Just God damn it. You know what I mean? Why am I still doing this? Like, and why am I fucking still in the same goddamn camp killing people with a 2x4? But like, I think if you shorten that up to 90 minutes, and it was running through this thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. Where are we going with this? Let's see what's up. Blah blah. It wouldn't be top of my list. I agree with you that I think Horizon, God of War, Ghosts are in a different class, and I do think it's interesting then of, okay, let's talk about what's actually happening here. Where again, Ghost of Tsushima, an amazing video game that I love and can't wait for the sequel to. Again, felt like they even had a Kurosawa
mode.
Yeah, right? So it's like they were clearly just emulating samurai from a million different things, but samurai motion pictures and films, right?
Yeah.
So now making a Ghost movie would just be, hopefully you're just making a really cool samurai film, right? Which I'm all for, especially a mass market, mass appeal, put it everywhere on as many screens as you can. That sounds great. But again, is that a video game movie? Is that a video game adaptation? Like, is he going to be chasing foxes and trying to, you know what I mean?
No, but like there's a main story to Ghost of Tsushima.
I know. But this is what I'm using that as an example for, is that is such a video game thing that you wouldn't put into the movie, where again, Fallout, to go back to my conversation there, is like, no, stim pack. Just you got stabbed, hit yourself with a stim pack. Like, that's fucking weird as shit. But like, whatever. I get the rule and I move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, eat the sugar bombs. Okay. Like,
but I think that's like the brilliance of Fallout as a TV show, is that the tone of it is so wacky and goofy that they're able to get away with a lot of stuff.
Totally.
Them busting out a big old stim pack and like stabbing yourself with it.
But that's hilarious. My point, is like that they've done such a great job making a video game adaptation that it can be that. And it can exist that way and you get it. Whereas in Ghost, the movie, if all of a sudden he was chasing a fucking fox to get a little bit more strong, I'd be like, what the fuck?
But is that because it's a movie versus a TV show? Because I think Fallout being a TV show gives it so much time to like have those side quest moments and explore more things. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima as a movie, if you're gonna do a thing where you chase a fox, you got to be concise with it, right? Like in a TV show, Ghost of Tsushima, I think they would. I think it would be all right. Where's the scene where he's in a hot tub reciting haikus? Like what's going on with that? Like where's going on?
They'll be smart about it. I bet you'll get like a montage. And I think you get that montage where he's got to be stronger, and so he's doing the bamboo, cutting of the sword with the bamboo or whatever, and failing and then getting better. And then a thing of him in the hot tub doing it, his ass all fucking right there in the screen.
Yeah. But I think because it is a film and Ghost of Tsushima in tone is more serious, and it is like as it games are. Yeah, you're right. It's taking inspiration from a lot of movies that we've gotten in the past that are samurai films or feudal Japan and all that stuff. I think Ghost of Tsushima is just going to be another one of those, and honestly, I think I'm more excited for that versus a Days Gone, even though we could say the same thing about Days Gone because we have so much zombie shit and post-apocalyptic shit. Whereas I know we've gotten a lot of samurai movies, but it's not like we're getting a samurai movie every other month or every year or anything 100%. Like that, right? Like there's Shogun now, as a TV show, and that's more like early modern era Japan. Like Ghost of Tsushima goes way back further than that. I think that that coming out as a like I guess Western produced samurai film could be interesting. Or if you give it like if you have, I guess I don't know how they're going about it in terms of, are you having a Japanese production studio work on this thing to produce it, or are you having like a Western studio to produce it? Are you pushing it more in the West? Are you pushing it more in Japan? Like, what's the move with that? I think if you're trying to frame it as a, nah, man, like we're putting it out in theater for Western audiences, and we're trying to hype this up in the way that you get hyped up for an Uncharted or anything else. I think it could be fun. I think it could maybe carve out a niche. I don't know if it'll be the biggest thing ever, but I think it could work as an adaptation.
So then when we're talking about these top three, Horizon, God of War, Ghost, what are you most confident in? Most confident to least confident in?
Oh, from those three?
Yeah, from your top three there.
Horizon, so you're going to have to catch me up on which is which, right?
Horizon, Netflix. God of
TV
War,
show?
Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
God of War, Amazon TV show?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then Ghost is the movie.
And Horizon, I forget if this is rumors or if these confirmed things, but I know we talked about it being or having more pre-apocalyptic storylines to it. That was a big conversation we had about it before.
I can't remember where we were, because I remember there was like there
was like a rumor that I think it was called Horizon 74 or some shit.
Yeah.
Horizon 1994.
Right now, Wikipedia just says in May 2022, it was announced the live-action television series adaptation in development. Aloy will be one of the main characters in the series. By January 2024, writing was underway on the series.
I'll say Horizon number 1, Ghost of Tsushima number 2, God of War number 3.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
See, my confidence, I would flip Ghost. Again, in the same vein as Until Dawn, you're making a dope samurai movie. Mm-hmm. Don't fuck it up. Oh, I want to see cool swordplay. This battle between him being like honorable, but they need the assassin right now, right? Avenge your family. Awesome. Easy.
Yeah.
That's fine. Horizon. Okay. You're Aloy. I feel like there's less pressure on that character because we've talked about it on this show many times. Like, she's a bit milquetoast, right? So get in there, do the thing, have the flashbacks to before it all went to hell so we see what happened. Get there. It's fighting things. I really worry about the budget in Horizon. I really worry about making the machines look fucking cool and not make them look hokey as shit. Like, that's my concern there. But I do feel like okay, cool, you're in the desert, you're in these forests, like, you can use sound stages in a different way that you can make them not look so fucking fake.
Yeah.
And then God of War is the one where it's like,
God of War is the one that I think about in terms of budget.
Yeah.
Like, what's that going to look like when he's fighting the dragon or like he's fighting these monsters and all this shit. And like, this goes back to what I've talked about with watching Fallout, coming off of watching both Shogun and Dune, is for God of War and Horizon in particular, those are taking place in, I guess, Horizon's taking place in a post-apocalyptic world. I was going to say in a world we haven't seen, but I guess in a way a world we haven't seen, right? Like, you got to bring us into that culture of what's going on in that Horizon universe. And same with God of War. You got to bring us into, have they said if it's Norse or Greek?
I don't think
I've assumed this whole time they were doing Norse.
The assumption is that they're adapting the Norse stuff.
The 2018 one, yeah, right.
2018 God of War. So you got to bring me into that world. And I think that's going to be a heavy lift. That's why I have a bit more faith in a Ghost versus a God of War, because I think Ghost is an easier movie to make because there's plenty of examples of that kind of film. Whereas God of War, in terms of production, budget, action, getting somebody that plays a good Kratos, getting somebody that plays a good Atreus, right? Like getting somebody who can play a good Mimir and just be a fucking head that's that's on somebody's waist, right? Like there are so many tasks that you have to get right. And
but my
that's
thing
such a
with
serious
that,
grounded role,
and that's
well.
why I'm surprised that y'all put God of War as like the one y'all are least confident in, because that's the Amazon show, right?
Yeah.
Is like, has Amazon had a really big miss when it comes to like their big shows that they put out? Because I feel like they have a good kind of pipeline of finding the right people to put on these productions.
I feel that. I think I have a lot of faith in Amazon when it comes to TV right now. They've been killing it. But I also would say the same with Netflix in regards to a Horizon thing. I know Netflix has had more ups and downs, but I think Netflix has just also had more times at bat to like try this stuff and fail this stuff more. But I think like a Netflix made a Horizon show. Oh, actually, when I say that out loud like that, because now I'm thinking about like opening up that Netflix app, getting to that homepage, seeing the Horizon logo, and seeing some real bad CGI.
I can't wait to see edgy Aloy. You know,
13 Reasons Why Aloy.
I was thinking more Avatar, more grounded, edgy Aloy.
Yeah, no, you're right, Barrett.
Here's my one thing I want to throw out there is that for Amazon Prime, when we're talking about, oh man, like they've been killing it lately, right? When's the last time they put out a lot of stuff? And so yeah, Fallout's great, The Boys is great, but then it's like I know there's shit on there that I've clicked on and clicked off of. I just can't tell you what it is. Same thing with Netflix. Same thing with Netflix.
My thing with Amazon is like how high profile were those things? I feel like the things that they push and the things that they put front and center are the things that always hits. And like I think God of War Amazon show. You don't put out God of War low key, do you?
All right, here's the list of Amazon Prime original programming, all right? The Boys, Them, Wheel of Time, Reacher, which people I know love, Outer Range, The Summer I Turned Pretty, The Terminal List, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, The Devil's Hour, The Rig, The Consultant, The Power,
These aren't real
Citadel,
things.
Gen V, Big Girls Don't Cry, The Baxters, Fallout. On comedy, there's Upload, Harlem, The Lake, Class of '07, Deadlock, In Your Dreams, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Animation, Invincible, The Legend of Vox Machina, Has Been Hotel, The Second Best Hospital in the Galaxy.
And all of the shows that I've heard of that list, because I'm pretty sure you made up 80% of that list, have all been really good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Again,
all the ones that I know are good off of that
shade.
list.
Amazon has been doing a great job lately.
What do you think?
A lot of Netflix's high-profile stuff that they really push is a bit more 50-50.
Sure, fair.
Do you think God of War gets more or less pushed than a Fallout?
More. The reason I put it as my least confident one is I think that it's just people have expectations of God of War on a way I don't think they have for an original Fallout, and even though they superseded mine.
Yeah.
And even the way I think with a Horizon, where I think you could put not anybody, put anybody into the role of Aloy, right? And it's not going to be like, well, I'm running internet comments in my head, right? I'm like, if she wasn't a redheaded white woman, I'm like, no, people will get really mad about that, but it'll be a very vocal, douchey minority we don't care about.
But it's funny. What's funny is that I think either way, people are going to get up and because I'm like, this is your chance. Like, I don't like, who's the actor? Barrett, do you know the actress who was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and she was like a villain-y role, but she kind of had a redemption.
I don't know her name, but she's been popping up.
Because I look at her and I'm like, that's Aloy right there, and I think she might be mixed.
Solo,
yeah, I think she was South African or something, right?
Yes,
wasn't she? Yeah,
but I look at her and I'm like, that's Aloy right there. Like, I think one of the common criticisms with Horizon the game is Aloy as a role being like this like white redhead woman, right? There's this element of
Erin Kellyman is her name.
Yeah, she looks like she could be a great Aloy. But yeah, with Aloy, I think it's always been a bit odd of who she is versus the cultures that are appropriated in Horizon and like kind of what they're doing with like, I guess post-apocalyptic America and like the cultures that they're taking from Native American stuff to African stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is a chance for you to kind of like maybe find somebody different for Aloy. But I think is it Erin Kellyman?
Yes.
I think you look at her, I'm like, that's Aloy right there.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that 100%. Anyways, but back to my thing is like
Kratos is more
God
of
of War. It's got to be Kratos.
You
It's got to
nail
look like
that.
this. How buff is he going to be? Is that going to work? Are they like okay? If it's 2018, how does it all feel? What's it all playing from? Or what a flashback! Like there's just so much already tied up, and so people are so invested in God of War for 3 console generations, right? 4 console generations now, right? Like I don't know. I feel like there's just you're on a tightrope there. Whereas I think with Horizon and Ghost, you have a bit more open of a runway.
I don't think you as PlayStation, you find the right people for it, right?
You
Like
hope
I don't
so?
know if it's going to be a
PlayStation Productions and Amazon, like we're talking about, right? Or like we're talking about 2 different things, but PlayStation Productions so far is doing really well.
Yeah.
I feel like they're doing their properties right, and especially in a way of like, hey, we're doing Twisted Metal, and it's not going to be car combat. It's going to be make up an original story that makes sense. Gran Turismo isn't about it is about car racing, but it's not the game. You know what I mean? Like we're playing in these worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the same way that you had Neil Druckmann working with the Craig Mazin, I think for Amazon's God of War, you have Cory Barlog working directly with some like named director or somebody that we know who's good at what they do, and they're like, hey, no, we're treating this seriously because as PlayStation Productions, a Last of Us TV show or a Last of Us adaptation project, I think you talk about and look at it in the same vein as a or I forget what I just said. A Last of Us thing you look at the same vein as a God of War thing. I don't think you look at God of War and go, it could be an Uncharted or it could be a Twisted Metal. I think you have to like nail a God of War thing. And for Amazon, I think it's an opportunity as well where, I don't know if it gets more push than a Fallout, but I think it gets a similar push as a Fallout, right? Where it is, we want this to take the main stage. We want this to be a thing that is like a high tier Amazon thing Amazon show that we want to sell the service with. And yeah, like I think you get a star for Kratos. I think I don't know if you get a star for Atreus, if you can find somebody who's it's a weird age range to find a star, but I think you get somebody talented. I think you get a star from Mimir. And yeah, like I think you build that as this is going to be an ongoing thing.
That's really interesting because I would think you go the opposite and you have people who can step into these roles and be those people rather than it's somebody playing Kratos. You know what I mean? Kind of like how you cast Superman. You know what I mean? Usually every Superman's cast is an unknown in quotes, right? Like they're not somebody you have a huge attachment to already.
I think maybe, but I think I'm judging based off of how they did Last of Us, where Joel was
Pedro.
the homie Pedro Pascal, right?
Yeah,
like, Ellie, same thing. I think God of War, with the name recognition and like the potential you have, you try to put as much star power as you can behind it. Granted, I think Kratos could also just be the same as the game. Like, what's his name? You get the same actor who played Kratos in 2018. Yeah, Christopher Judge.
Are you seeing him actually be Kratos, or are you seeing like
actually play Kratos in the show?
Oh, wow, really?
I think he wants to. I feel like I've seen tweets of him or him quote tweeting being like, "Yeah, let me play Kratos." So I think there's a potential of that. I don't think it's a given, but the question becomes who then plays Kratos.
Yeah, Chris Judge is about to be 60.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got to get fucking yoked. I mean, he's not that he's. I mean,
Kratos
he's
is 500 years old.
Fuck off, Blessing. Fuck off, Blessing.
Who would play Kratos though? That's the thing is I'm trying to think of a star. And the ones that come to mind are The Rock.
It can't just be a star,
want.
right? It's got to be somebody who's fucking yacked out of their mind.
That's what it's like. My brain goes to The Rock, but I'm like, no, I don't want The Rock to play Kratos.
No,
Batista, but I'm also like
too old as well. I think personally.
Too old? Like you think? How old should he be to?
I mean,
play
the whole
Kratos?
thing was. Remember Batista? His whole thing was like, I'm leaving Drax behind because I'm gonna start getting like fucking saggy boobs and shit. Like I can't be shirtless all the time.
But I feel like Kratos is an old character though. In the 2018 game,
he's old, but he still looks like a god. You know what I mean? Like I don't think you're gonna. I think rather than cast, we're trying to. I mean, yeah, again, he's hundreds of years old. But rather than cast someone who's old, you're casting someone who's mature or somebody who's got the body, and then you age them. I think.
All right. Yeah, I'm fascinated because I can't think of anybody.
It's tough.
Barry, who's a famous bodybuilder?
I don't know.
I look at you for your bodybuilder knowledge.
For bodybuilders, or you cast somebody who's a bit older who's willing to keep up with like that regimen. I think for Batista, I think it's just he's at the point where he just doesn't want to keep doing that anymore.
Yeah,
to keep that fit bod.
He looks like a god to me.
He is a god.
You're a god to us, Batista. We love you.
Apparently, he's going to be voicing the villain in the animated Avatar.
What if we go? If we go down the wrestler route, I feel like there's plenty of wrestler. Like, what if Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns, Kratos. Think about it.
I don't hate it. I don't
hate it either. I feel like Roman Reigns would actually be a pretty good fit.
It's not bad.
He's a good-looking man.
Yep.
He has the body.
He's got the deep voice.
He's got the beard.
Boy.
He has the presence.
Yeah.
I feel like listen. Yeah, I'm sticking with it. I think Roman Reigns, Kratos.
He's got the free time now.
He has the free time. Yeah, he's not defending the belt anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, we did it.
You just did it. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for. Cast Dominic Mysterio's Atreus. We did it.
PlayStation Productions, happy to announce they've teamed with WWE to make the God of War show. That'll be great. Blessing, what's happening this week in PlayStation?
This week in PlayStation, Fallout 4's long-awaited next-gen update finally has a release date. It is coming April 25th on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. It's coming as like a native application, right? So it's gonna be a new executable. It's coming with the performance mode and quality mode settings, as well as stability improvements and fixes. And the game will be playable to up to 60 frames per second with an increased resolution. Let's go. We did it.
Are we going back? What's the deal? We talked a lot about this in all of our reviews and whatnot. Of like, oh, there needs to be a Fallout game or something to do. And blah. Are we going to do a week of 76? Yada, yada. And then
I keep going back and forth in my brain in this because I've not played through New Vegas. And I have more of a desire to play new Fallout.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of like a performance mode Fallout 4, like a Fallout 4 that runs beautifully.
And that's the thing is like, again, the DLCs I haven't played.
Yeah.
There's new content there. It's more modern. It's just an upgrade, right? A native application, but an upgrade. So I'm assuming my save carries over. Yeah, you think?
Oh,
I assume I'm going to be able to import my save.
And this is a weird one where like that is one of the few games that I still have my physical copy for. Is that like if I put that disc in, do I get that upgrade?
Great question.
These are fantastic questions. Actually, I've not thought about
honestly because for me, honestly, it's one of those like, I mean, I'll never have time to play Fallout again, probably. Mm-hmm. So, but it's like if I had my cake eat it too kind of situation here, if my save doesn't carry over, I might be happier with that. To start a character from scratch and all from scratch, like I remember broad strokes and things of the game. Obviously, we were talking about Nick Valentine and all that jazz, but like there'd be enough where I can make different choices and go. And again, I'd probably play 10 hours and get distracted and move on to something else.
Yeah.
But I've gone back. I'm like I talked about in the shows this week. I've never beaten New Vegas either. I've started it several times, and when I think we were before Starfield, but getting psyched for Starfield, I was like, fuck, I want a Bethesda RPG. Let's go. Downloaded it to the Xbox, whatever, off Game Pass, and jumped in there. And I was just like, this is an old game. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like shit. And like the game mechanics are so fine, but like, this isn't what I want right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We're still in review season, right? So like, I don't think I'll have the time immediately.
April 25th is the day that Another Crab's Treasure comes out, and the day before Sandland and Stellar Blade come out.
Yep. A lot going on.
We'll see. Even when I get to the free time, I think that's when I make the decision. But right now, I'm leaning on New Vegas.
Fair enough.
We got PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium games for April 2024. Extra, you're getting Animal Well, which is really cool. Day one release. That's fucking awesome. Tales of Kenzera Zao, Dave the Diver, Oddballers, Construction Simulator, The Crew 2, Raji and Ancient Epic, Lego Ninjaga movie video game, Now Play with Your Food. No, that's like how they say no in Australia. Deliver Us Mars, Lego Marvel's Avengers, Stray Blade, and Miasma Chronicles.
Miasma!
And then for premium, we got Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire, and Medieval. PlayStation picks this week. The drop looks like this. Gigantic Rampage Edition comes out for PS5 and PS4 April 9th. House Flipper 2 comes out for PS5. Let's Revolution comes out for PS5. And Moonglow Bay is coming this week.
I tossed that in the last second. Because that's one of those of me and Janet were both like, so fucking Port Moonglow. And they finally did. And I've had code for weeks and I've just been playing other things for review. So it's literally exactly the Fallout situation we're talking about. It's just like, oh, well, I'm so happy you finally did it. Will I ever get the chance to do it? Who knows?
Oh, it's the voxel game.
Yeah. The one where you're out there fishing and doing your thing.
Oh, this looks cool.
I really enjoyed it from when I was playing it on Steam Deck. But I was playing it on Steam Deck right when Ben was born. So it's been a while. You know what I mean? We're talking 2021.
Like your whole village is starved to death right now.
What's the thing is like, do I want every time? And it finally, what was it? It was on Steam Deck, and then it came, I guess, to Xbox. I don't know. There's something. I've had the thing of like I restarted it again, and then I was like, no, I'll wait for PlayStation. Here it is, and I'm just like, all right, cool. I have not had the time to play.
Well, that's PlayStation picks for you.
Great, awesome.
We did it.
We did it. Another show in the books.
Cast Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns, ladies and gentlemen, will be Kratos in God of War. You heard it here first. And you also heard, of course, that this is your PlayStation conversation for the week. P.S. I love you. XOXO comes to you each and every week. Of course, on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames podcast services around the globe. However, if you really want to support us and you really love the show, get that Kind of Funny membership. Over on YouTube and Patreon, you can get each and every episode ad-free. You get all of our shows ad-free. You can watch us record the show live as we record it. And, of course, you can get the daily multimedia experience known as Greg Way. However, no bucks, like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.